Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. For years, over 5 years on this channel, I've been accused of having the same nickname as a future champion. I've been called Mr. Negative for being too negative. But I try to keep it 100, or as a subscriber said years ago, Prof, you keep it 1,000, whatever that means. Now, sometimes I'll give my opinion, and I try to state, for the record, that this is just my opinion. Offer reviews are that way, right? Some people call me the offer review guy. And I don't want you to always agree with me. I'm just giving you one perspective among many. With that being said, I have done so much data in the past 5 years for 6-star rosters. Specifically the fact that for everybody who wants Hercules, you probably are going to end up with, and it's funny I don't have to scroll that far down to come up with this guy, Groot. Now, I'm hoping this is also the year he gets a buff. Though he's actually not a terrible defender. Shout out to Bone Man this season with the meta. But in general, it's not surprising. You always see new accounts with more 2015 champions and 2016 champions than 2022 champions, 2021 champions. It's much easier to hit Captain Marvel Classic than Captain Marvel Movie. And even though we're excited about OG Hulk, it can be, in the past, much easier to land on Hulk than, say, Quicksilver. Much easier to land on Black Bolt than Null. Much easier to land on Moon Knight than Nick Fury. Much easier to land on Ronin than Corvus. The list goes on and on, right? Much easier to land on Captain America, though this guy's actually not awakened for me, than it would be, well, a number of 6 stars, including, let's say for the sake of argument, Cap Infinity War. They as in Kabam, have patents that legally allow them to do this. It is not news to those of you who have been following this channel or the community at large for years. It is what it is. But every once in a while, there'll be a hotly contested debate like there was this week over the actual concept of different probability drop rates depending on what year champions are in the crystal. And that brings us to Colin? I don't think I've ever seen that spelling. So, sorry, buddy, if I butchered your name. Chances are I did. Champions probability in crystal pools intentionally different is the title of this forum post. Here's an information I wanted to have. Interesting way to start that post. Recently in my Alliances chat, we entered a discussion in which a friend said Kabam had already stated each champion has a different chance of appearing when opening a crystal. I tried looking for this statement but couldn't find it. So I was hoping maybe someone can point me to it. I always thought Kabam said every champion has the same probability. Say there are 200 champions in the game, so each one has a 0.5% chance of appearing, even though in my experience this is clearly not the case. It's pretty obvious to me. Kabam classifies champions in tiers, and those at the lowest tier appear much more often than when opening crystals. But is that public knowledge then? And I was the only one thinking in theory I could get any champion equally. Again, Kabam has said, in the defense of this forum post writer, that champions are equal, but then we've covered the fact that that's not the case legally from Kabam's patents. It's just an expectation. It's sort of like when Kabam says that AI hasn't changed. AI hasn't evolved, but then you can look back on videos from 5-6 years ago at fights, and it's like looking at a different speed of a game. And of course, they've sped up plenty of animations as well to cope for that. And their favorite justification, frame rate. Xanos says, your friend is wrong. Oh. Grounded Wisdom. This is false. It's the same drop rate unless specified. Okay, first off, if Grounded Wisdom doesn't work for Kabam, because has he ever publicly just said, yeah, I'm on the payroll? I don't think so. But he lives on the forums too much to not be, in my opinion. If he doesn't work for Kabam, how come he's saying this with such confidence, such clarity? Now, I do think it's in Kabam's best interest to have the public relations side of this question be, oh yeah, everything's equal. But the data is the data, right? There are just too many people who start out with Groot as their first champion, or OG Captain America, or Winter Soldier, or Ronin, or Captain Marvel Classic. The list goes on and on and on to think, oh yeah, I just got lucky for landing on them. I knew a guy who, like, his first 3 6-stars were all 3 Rocket Raccoon. He had 1 6-star, it was a SIG 40 Rocket Raccoon. You're telling me that that's just chance? Maybe. But statistically speaking, it's much more obvious to think that the algorithm favors somebody like a pre-buffed Rocket Raccoon than, say, Warlock. Colin Whitworth, 69. Your friend's tinfoil hat is too tight. Ooh. We're getting that hotly contested debate started. Kabam Mike, this is false, and nothing we have ever said would back that up. Every champion has the same chance of dropping from a crystal unless otherwise stated. I just don't believe it, y'all. I just don't believe it. And you can say that this hat is made of tinfoil. And you can say that clearly. I do not believe this. It's sort of like when Kabam publicly states that the algorithms for Awakening Gems are all equal. And yet, how many of you watching this have landed on the same 5-star or 6-star class over and over and over again? What they used to do, not publicly on a forum post, but privately in a help ticket, was say, we protect the right, something like this, it's not a direct quote, we protect the right of the game to have outcomes deemed necessary. Meaning, what used to be the most valuable item in the game, believe it or not, was a 5-star generic Awakening Gem. You could only get it by 100% exploring the Labyrinth of Legends, which was by far the hardest and most difficult content, which took people tens of thousands of units to explore. That 5-star generic Awakening Gem wouldn't be nearly as valuable if it was easier to get different classes of the class-based 5-star Awakening Gem crystal. They knew that if you wanted to, say, awaken your Scarlet Witch, you could get, and I did, I got Tech like 5 times in a row, which was great for Star-Lord back then, but not if I wanted to awaken someone else from a different class. The game almost presets the algorithm for what you're most likely to get, but they can't say it publicly because it will lack the confidence in the community to maybe hurt their sales. So publicly, they're stating this, but go to Kabam's website and look up the patents. Look up the fact that even when it comes to spending behavior, we've done videos on this over the years, where it used to be a belief that free-to-play players got screwed way more than whales. Now, there is some data to suggest that, but there's also opposite data to suggest that if Kabam knows that somebody is a high spender, let's say that they have historically, like old crystal opening whales accounts, they're historically willing to spend over $1,000, maybe over $10,000, depending on the champion, to get the champion. Let's say it's Infamous Iron Man. Well, if you give that account a 6-star Infamous Iron Man in the first 100 crystals, then if they have an Awakening Gem in 6 stones, which a lot of those top whales already do, they're not going to keep opening crystals, they're just going to use the Awakening Gem. So, maybe the algorithm naturally waits for crystal 500 instead of 50 to give that 6-star champion to the player. And we've seen that theory tested and proven time and time again for years. So, I get that Kabam Mike and Grounded Wisdom and others are claiming that every champion has the same chance of dropping from a crystal unless otherwise stated, which in that sense would say that it's only a better odds chance for, say, a featured 6-star or sub-featured 6-star, which, by the way, the sub-featured drop rates are also never public, and those obviously seem to be better than featured on average, so that data doesn't always back up what they're saying publicly. Either way, I'm definitely going to call BS on this. I don't care if my hat's made of tinfoil. I've just seen too many accounts that start with the same 5 or 6 champs. It's not all old champs, right? You might have a Groot, a Winter Soldier, an OG Captain America, and a Hercules. You might have the best champion in the game. But you're not going to have a Hercules, a Warlock, a Quicksilver, and even like a Penny Parker. I just haven't seen it. And you would think if all odds were equal that it would be the same. But I don't think the data agrees. And I think the community data is on my side, even though Kabam, for obvious reasons, would never publicly reinforce that.